Doing there,
All right,
Jeremiah.
that's telling us here that we are live, and we are live, fellas. So, hello and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Show. I'm Rich Davie, and it's Thursday, September 25th, 2014, 2 days before the UFC 178 Johnson versus Cariaso event. On today's show, we'll be discussing the UFC 178 Johnson versus Cariaso event, and we'll give our predictions for the main card. And if time allows, we'll try to do a final thoughts segment in the end there. But with five guys on the show here, we might not have time for that. On today's show, we have yours truly, Damon Gazelle, Fred Kirby, Jeremiah Deskins, and Eddie Law. Thanks for taking part in another show, guys. I appreciate you all taking time to be here and to discuss the UFC 178 Johnson versus Cariaso event and taking time to give your predictions on the main card and that one undercard fight that we'll be talking about. Go ahead and say hello to anybody that might be listening, guys.
How's it going, guys? Good to see y'all.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be back.
What's up, MMA world? Good to see you guys.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us. It should be pretty fun, and see who gets the most picks wrong, huh?
All right, guys. Thanks again for being here. I appreciate it. This should be interesting here. The UFC 178 Johnson versus Cariaso event takes place Saturday, September 27th, 2014, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the main card will be airing on pay-per-view at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. The prelims get underway on Fox Sports 1 at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And there are two fights on the Fight Pass network starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And this event here is about as stacked with great fights as a card can get. And this is what a pay-per-view event should actually look like here, rather than some of the events that the UFC has been putting on in the recent past here. If you're an MMA fan, I'm sure it will be hard for you to disagree with any of that. But let's go ahead and jump right into things here, guys. I know some people aren't really happy with the main event here. I'm not really impressed with it. But let's go ahead and talk about that one anyway here. First up here, the main event is for the flyweight title. Demetrious Johnson versus Cariaso, the UFC flyweight champ, versus the number 8 UFC ranked flyweight. And coming into this one here, Demetrious Johnson is 20 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. And Chris Cariaso is 17 wins and 5 losses. This is the 5th title defense for Demetrious Johnson, and we have another main event matchup that's similar to the Barao versus Dillashaw matchup in regard to the expectations for the outcome here. But, you know, I'm not really seeing anybody going for the underdog in this fight here, and that's in contrast to the Barao-Dillashaw fight that took place a little while ago there, because there are actually a handful of fans that picked Dillashaw to get the win in that fight. Not many, but there were a few, and I'm sure there are some fans picking Chris Cariaso to get the win here, but I'm not really seeing any that are. Let's go ahead and talk about this one here real briefly. Go ahead and give me your opinion of what's going to happen in the fight here and how you think it's going to unfold and how the fight will finish. Damon.
I just think Mighty Mouse does too much. His overall skill. I see him getting TKO in the 3rd.
TKO in 3. Okay, Fred.
Yeah, same thing. Mighty Mouse seems like he's way too skilled for Chris Cariaso. I think that this is just a fight that they're squeezing in because Mighty Mouse needs to get a defense in, and I think that Mighty Mouse will get a sub in 3. Chris Cariaso's scrappy, but you know, I don't think anybody's really. And if you're picking him, you're definitely, you know, either in his camp or really a big fan of the underdog, because I don't see a lot of reasons to pick Chris Cariaso in this fight.
Or you're his mother.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, Jeremiah, what do you think?
I'm going to agree with Fred. I got a Mighty Mouse sub in 3. He's just too well-rounded, keeps the pressure. I don't think it's going to be as easy a fight as people think. Chris has got excellent stand-up. If it stays on the feet, I could give him a chance. I believe he's got the better striking of the two, but I got to go with Mighty Mouse. He's pound for pound the best at this moment in time. So, going Mighty Mouse sub in 3.
Okay, Eddie, what do you think?
Oh man, DJ. DJ's too technical. He's too quick. He's too fast. He's too damn good. He's too strong. He's already knocked dudes out. He subs them. He goes for finishes. Cariaso, out of all 17 wins, 12 of them are decision. He kind of just hangs on. So yeah, while his stand-up is very, very crisp, DJ's just too powerful in every category. So I would say I would take DJ TKO third round.
Wow. I guess I'm the only one who's in the minority here. Not that I'm picking Chris Cariaso, but I was thinking more along the lines like Jeremiah was there. You know, I don't think it's going to be the total blowout like, you know, the three of you guys think it's going to be. But let me give my quick little breakdown here. Demetrius Johnson is a massive favorite to get the win by both odds makers and fans. He also has a 6-fight win streak going for him coming into this fight here. He's got the advantage in age as well, and being 5 years younger, that typically contributes to a positive outcome for the fighter that is much younger. Looking at all of the indicators that might help determine the outcome here, Demetrius Johnson pretty much dominates Chris Cariaso in every useful stat. So yeah, I am going with Demetrius Johnson for the win. But I don't know. I think it might be. I think it might drag out a little bit, like Jeremiah was alluding to there. And I'm going to go with Demetrius Johnson by decision. What do you guys think there? Let's talk about this one for a little bit. Dana?
Decision? I don't know, man. After seeing what he did with Ali Bagatinov, I mean, he just looks like he's on a whole nother level. It possibly could go to a decision. I just don't see it.
Okay, Fred?
Yeah, same thing, man. I think that eventually DJ will wear him down. I mean, listen, you're right, though. Look at TJ Dillashaw. I mean, you say that some people was picking DJ Dillashaw. I will let you know up front, I was not one of those cats. I straight murked in that fight, and I was shocked as shit when I seen him bouncing around like Dominic Cruz and lighting dude up. So, who really knows, man? Maybe Chris Cariaso will come out and surprise us all and straight tag DJ. He has been known to get tagged on the feet. John Dodson fucking came close to finishing him, so, you know, he hasn't had the greatest striking defense in the world. All that being said, it's hard. I sure as shit wouldn't bet my house on Chris Cariaso. So.
No, I agree with you there. But, you know, again, Jeremiah, give me your opinion and feelings on that. Did we lose Jeremiah?
I think he just got butt.
Finally. You might lose me numerous times. Making no promises.
All right, so we were just talking about, you know, what you were saying there, where you thought it might be a little closer, and, you know, you were going, you know, with a sub and 3 along with Fred, and I was saying, you know, it might be a little bit closer as well, maybe not the blowout that everybody thinks it might be because of, you know, what happened with the Barao and Dillashaw fight there. What do you think, man? I was, you know, saying, you know, it'll probably go to a decision, and I think it might drag out a little bit there, and you were saying, you know, something similar along that lines there. So what do you think about, you know, what my prediction was there, decision, and, you know, along the lines of what happened with Barao and Dillashaw?
It could possibly go to a decision, but Mighty Mouse keeps the pressure on so much. He never backs up. Chris is going to try to turn it into a stand-up boxing match, and Mighty Mouse is just too well-rounded. I think he's going to outclass him.
Okay, Eddie, you get the last word.
Oh man, pressure. I think it'll be. Cariaso's not a big guy. It's not Bagatinov. Even Bagatinov had to dope up to keep up with DJ. You know, so does Cariaso have the cardio to go 5 rounds? Yeah. Does he have the stand up to stay? You know, keep up with DJ the whole time? Sure. But will DJ allowed to stay on the feet the whole time? Hell no. I think the farthest it's gonna go would be maybe 4th round sub. Maybe. I just don't see it going that far.
Yeah, you know, when I went out and did my research there, I did see a lot of people that were actually picking a sub. I really didn't see, excuse me, guys, I really didn't see that many people picking, you know, a TKO or a KO finish for Johnson. Most everything that I saw when I did my research, people were saying, and, you know, industry insiders were saying sub and 2, sub and 3. So it seems like the general consensus, you know, with what you guys are saying, and what fans are saying, and what industry insiders are saying, that it's probably going to end in a sub in either 2 or 3. All right, any more comments on that before we move on? All right, let's talk about the co-main event here. I'm sorry?
No, that's it.
Right, let's move on here. All right, let's move on here. Eddie Alvarez versus Donald Cerrone. The number 14 UFC ranked lightweight versus the number 5 UFC ranked lightweight. Eddie Alvarez is 25 wins, 3 losses coming into this fight, and Donald Cerrone is 24 wins, 6 losses, and 1 no contest. A lot of MMA fans have been waiting for the day that Eddie Alvarez would be able to break the chains that were holding him over at Bellator, and that would allow him to come into the UFC and fight the UFC, where so many people think that he actually belongs. And that day has finally come here, and we will get to see how Eddie does perform in the UFC. I think a lot of people are really excited, more for this fight than for the main event here. Damon, give me your comments on this one here, and let me know how you think it unfolds and how it finishes.
It all depends on which Cerrone shows up. Like always, he's always one of those guys that puts on a fight of the night performance. I'm actually going to go with Cerrone by a sub in 2.
Okay, Fred?
This is a really interesting fight, man. It's always kind of surprising when somebody comes to the UFC for the first time, and with a lot of hype, you never really know exactly what to expect. And it's kind of the same deal with Eddie Alvarez. I think that he definitely, absolutely can compete, but I don't know exactly what he's going to end up looking like once he gets there. Cerrone tends to have problems with people who can outbox him a little bit, man. He had a problem with Nate Diaz, and he had a problem with Rafael dos Anjos. Once he started getting kind of outstruck on the feet and he wasn't landing his kicks like he usually does, he kind of hit a wall a little bit, and would not surprise me to see that happen with Eddie Alvarez. I think he's got skills to do that. That being said, it's hard to go against the Cowboy on this one. I'm going to go with Donald Cerrone, unanimous decision.
Okay, Jeremiah?
Yeah, I gotta go with Alvarez. I mean, he's a fucking stud. I've been waiting for him to come to the UFC for a long time. Cerrone does have problems getting outboxed. He's a little weak in the body. I think I'm gonna change my prediction up here. I'm gonna go decision. I had Alvarez TKO in 3.
Okay, I'm going to say that again. You had him as what originally?
TKO stoppage in 3.
Yeah, I had him at a TKO stoppage in 3 on the site, but I believe I'm going to change it to a decision. Alvarez.
Okay, very good. Eddie?
All right. As we all know, Donald Cerrone is a showman. He loses big and he wins big. But just like a couple of you guys already said, he does have problems with big-time boxers. But what Cerrone has on top of Eddie Alvarez is experience with UFC caliber talent. He's faced guys that just like you guys say, Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, all those guys. He's taking, he beat Miller. So I am picking Eddie Alvarez because I've been waiting forever for this guy to show up. I think we're gonna find out, is Eddie Alvarez for real? And I think we're gonna find out that once he knocks out Cerrone in the 3rd round, that he is for real.
Wow.
Bully beat down.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's pretty bold there. Yeah, I was actually reading some of the comments from some of the industry insiders and predictions that they were making, and I do see a couple of them saying that it may be a TKO. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of industry insiders out there saying it's going to be an outright KO, and I did see some comments out there saying that maybe Eddie Alvarez won't be able to employ that striking game that you guys seem to be alluding to here, but I'll give you my quick breakdown on this one here. Oddsmakers have this one as a flip of the coin, but fans are slightly favoring Donald Cerrone to get the win. It's a Black Zillions fighter against a Jackson's MMA fighter, which are both great training camps, but Cerrone has an advantage in height and reach, being 3 inches taller with a 4-inch reach advantage, and I'm thinking that Donald Cerrone will fight from the outside, waiting for an opportunity, and once he's able to capitalize on that, he'll take advantage of his work from the outside and go in for a submission. So I pretty much agree with my buddy Damon there. I'm going to go with Donald Cerrone by sub in 2. Have you guys read any other comments, out there from? Because I don't know how you guys do your research, or if you just, pick with your heart, or do you look at, a couple of boards and, I don't know how you guys make your determinations. But did you guys go out there and read anything about, this matchup from, any other sources, or, how do you go about making your picks?
Go ahead, sir.
All right. It's one of those things. It's pretty much they both have their fans, and I am a Cerrone fan. I also like Alvarez, but with Alvarez coming up in here from Bellator or whatever, it's just a whole different atmosphere, a whole different level, and will he be able to live up to the hype? That's something we're gonna see. Like I said, I haven't really seen much, but the comments I do see are usually pro Alvarez or pro Cerrone kind of thing. It's
But nothing regarding the Alvarez employing his stand-up game, because I saw some comments out there specifically that were addressing that, saying that he may not be able to implement that part of his game plan.
Possibly not. Cerrone's got those kicks that he are pretty lethal. I mean, it all depends on which Cerrone shows up. Yeah.
Okay, Brad.
Styles make fights, man. Styles make fights. So I think when I'm thinking about a matchup, I try my best to just think about how it's going to happen. Like obviously MMA math never works. Just because X fighter beat Y fighter doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying, that's going to guarantee to win. So
yeah, it's not like say, oh well, this guy beat XYZ and XYZ, and pretty much in boxing it would go that way, where you could determine, yeah, if this guy beat those guys, then yeah, this fellow could probably do the same. Yeah, but in MMA, you're totally right. MMA math typically does not work.
It makes a lot more sense in boxing, right? With MMA, shit's just so much more unpredictable, and it's the same with this fight. There's so many unforeseens. How is Eddie Alvarez going to react to being in the UFC for his first time? You wouldn't think it matters that much because he's got a lot of, big promotion experience, but, everything isn't the UFC, and you never know until they get there how they're going to really perform. Maybe he'll have even more pressure because he's waited so fucking long to get there. He's coming with a shit ton of hype. Like, we'll see, man. One thing for sure, I don't see it being boring. It should be a fucking barn burner one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in regard to my question there, do you go out and do you read any opinions of any industry insiders or other, comments that are being made on other MMA sites, or when you make your picks, are you just picking from, what you feel is the right choice to go with?
Oh, well, yeah, I obviously go around and read, and I take other opinions and take what they have to say into mine. But at the end of the day, I'm going to form my own opinion and, judge on what I've seen them do in the past and how I think their styles match up. I think that's the most important thing in a fight, is how these guys are going to match up stylistically.
All right, did you see any comments out there regarding maybe Alvarez not being able to implement his stand-up game? Because I saw a lot of comments out there like that.
I actually seen kind of the contrary, thinking that he might be able to fuck up Cerrone's boxing game and kind of keep him on the defensive with his fast offensive boxing, is what I've kind of seen people saying generally.
Well, I was seeing the opposite, man. I guess we were reading different sites.
He was at EddieAlvarez.com.
That's what I'm saying. You've got your pro Alvarez and you got your pro Cerrone, so you're going to get a mixed bag.
What were your comments, Jeremiah? You see any? Go out and read anything? Do you take any other, websites?
I really didn't read anything.
Insiders?
I watched UFC Embedded. Does anybody know, was Cerrone injured coming into this fight? Because I watched UFC Embedded, and before he was going to weigh in on Thursday or Wednesday, I believe, to check his weight, somebody asked him how was the shoulder. He said, "Oh, it's good. It's good."
Oh yeah, I do seem to.
I don't know if that was a. Yeah, I mean, it could be a factor, but for some reason, I see Alvarez hurting Cerrone in the body. Some certain point in the fight, I believe he's going to take advantage and work the body.
Okay, so you two guys.
Some feeling I got.
Okay, so you two guys that are favoring Alvarez here, you think it's not going to be a problem for him to get inside and beat that 4-inch reach and those leg kicks from Donald Cerrone, huh? Go ahead, Eddie.
Well, like Damon was saying, it depends on what Cerrone shows
I don't
up.
think so.
So, yeah, it depends on what Cerrone shows up. If it's Cerrone that's gonna throw leg kicks and be a little quicker on his feet shows up, hell yeah, he's gonna give Alvarez's boxing a challenge, and Eddie might not be able to use his boxing. But as far as the question about do I read or to check anything out, I do actually. I read a lot. I read a lot of opinions. I go to preview sites and all that, and I watch the embedded series, and I did see the shoulder thing. So that's one concern right there. The other concern is I heard whispers of a possible leg issue with Cerrone, which, if you only have one leg, you're kind of screwed in any kind of striking.
Oh, wow, really? I didn't hear that. Where did you hear that?
Twitter, this is what people, like the big insider people, but it was just whispers that, people saying, oh, I heard that someone was talking about Cerrone's legs messed up or something. But nothing that I could confirm enough to write about it, But I would have loved that scoop, and I actually tried to get a hold of some people that would know. But at the same time, if you're a fighter, you're gonna keep any injuries to yourself. You don't want to tell your opponent that your leg's jacked. So, but that's just what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. But if it's true, and Cerrone's got one leg for this fight, my prediction stands: KO in the third, straight up.
Okay. Yeah,
that was my original prediction.
Yeah, I don't always, go with my opinion on things. What I do is I do all that research, look at the numbers and the stats and all that, and then, I look at, who has the advantage over each category of, offense and defense, and then I'll weigh that information in my own mind, and I'll put those thoughts down here to, reiterate to the listeners. And, sometimes I don't always agree with what I see out there regarding those numbers and those stats, and I'll go, and deviate from that. But more often than not, I go with, what the stats and the numbers indicate as far as, pitting them up against each other, with records and, offense and defense and things like that, height, reach, age, all that stuff. So every once in a while I'll deviate from that, but every time I trust my gut instinct, I wind up going like 2 and 4.
Yeah, exactly. Cerrone better keep the chin down. He likes to, after he throws, engages, he likes to stand straight up, keep that head straight up. He better not do that with Eddie. Got a mean overhand right.
Okay, fellas, any more comments?
Uh-uh.
All right.
Good.
All right, let's move on to the next one here then. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are excited to see this one here. As Damon mentioned earlier there, we've got Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, the number 9 UFC ranked featherweight versus the number 5 UFC ranked featherweight. And coming into this one here, Conor McGregor is 15 wins, 2 losses, and Dustin Poirier is 16 wins and 3 losses. This is a big opportunity for Conor McGregor here to move up in the top 5 should he get the win here. He's already talking about wanting a shot at the title for his next fight, and I don't know if that's just, kind of shit talk from him because he likes to do that. But he said that, he wants to make a statement in this fight here by winning in the first round with a KO. What do you guys think here? Is Conor McGregor overlooking his opponent? Damon?
I think that's a lot of talk just from McGregor. He likes to talk. At first I was picking Dustin Poirier to win this, but I went back in Fight Pass and watched the recent fights, and Poirier does have he does get tagged a lot and rocked in the first too. So I actually changed my pick, and I do believe Conor will be able to make good on his promise. And even though Poirier has weathered the storms before, I don't think he'll be able to.
Okay, so you're saying what?
I'm saying I'm going to go with Conor McGregor, first round KO, TKO.
Okay, very nice. All right, Fred.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I kind of am leaning the same way. It's kind of hard not to get wrapped up in Conor McGregor right now with the way he talks and the way he's been fighting, actually. The one thing about it, man, you got to give the dude, he backs it up. Like, he's looked fucking impressive since he's got to the UFC. His kicks are fucking unorthodox and precise and strong and come from weird fucking angles. And more than anything, I actually like his philosophy on fighting. Like, I've heard some interviews with him where he's really, like, broke it down and, like, talking about his injury and, like, learning about the human body and how it works and fucking, doing yoga and shit like that. I just think that his philosophy and his style and his approach to the game is next level shit, man. And I agree. I think Dustin Poirier is a tough test, and he's a fucking really good, tough scrap. At the end of the day, Dustin Poirier is going to end up a tough gatekeeper, and Conor McGregor is going to be on the way to a title shot with a TKO stoppage first round.
Wow, awesome. That's two of you guys in a row. Okay, I know Jeremiah totally disagrees with that. Jeremiah, what are your opinions here, and how do you see this one ending?
Well, I fucking love Dustin, man. I mean, I want to pick him so bad, but I got to go with Conor, man. TKO in the second. I really don't understand how he's ranked number 9. I mean, but that's beside the point. You throw rankings out the window. We've been about this a million times. I'm still wanting to pick Dustin, but for some reason I think Conor's just got all the weapons if he'll just keep his fucking mouth shut and do his talking in the ring. But we will find out after this fight if he is for real. A fighter can be skilled no matter who he's fighting. If the man's skilled, he's skilled. If he hasn't fought so-and-so, beat who, you throw all that shit out the fucking window. I think he does got the skills one day, but we'll find out Saturday night. So I'm going with McGregor, TKO stoppage in 2.
All right. Sounds like pretty unanimous here, guys. So it sounds like so far you all think that McGregor is not really overlooking his opponent, that he actually has the tools to go ahead and do what he says he's going to do. Eddie, go ahead. What's your opinion on this one?
Well, I'm here to break the streak, fellas. No McGregor win here, and here's why. Now, McGregor's 2 losses on his record have become by submission, right? And, I mean, let's face it, even in the UFC, I mean, Max Holloway is a good fighter, but he took him a decision. And, mind you, McGregor had I believe, a knee injury in that fight. And then Diego Brandao, who doesn't belong in 145, in my opinion. That dude was really, really tiny compared to McGregor. Dustin Poirier is very, very well-rounded. He's got 7 knockout wins, 6 submissions, and 3 decisions, right? So what I think is going to happen is that McGregor is going to get caught in this game of talking trash, saying, I'm going to be in Brazil for the title fight. I'll be ready in case someone gets hurt, whatever. He's overlooking Dustin real bad, I think. So what I think is going to end up happening is Poirier is going to manage that, and he's going to stop him in the second round. And we're going to see a bunch of shocked people out there, including McGregor himself. And it'll be the rise of DP, man.
Okay, so you're saying second round what? KO or sub?
Submission.
Okay. Well, that's pretty interesting there, because I actually was also originally thinking about going with Dustin myself, much like Damon was there. And I don't recall at this point what I was actually, planning on going with there, because I did change my pick there early on when I was writing up the show here. But I'll give my quick breakdown here. Odds makers are favoring Conor McGregor, and fans even more so. Nearly every stat regarding these two men are nearly identical, with the exception of their win streaks. Conor McGregor is riding an 11-fight win streak, with all 3 of his UFC fights in the win column, and Dustin Poirier is riding a 3-fight win streak on his record there. But Dustin Poirier has had 10 fights in the UFC, and not all of his opponents in the UFC were top dogs, but they were all in the UFC, and his 2 losses in the UFC were the fighters that you would call a step up in competition from what he was fighting, prior to those losses there. So this fight should prove to be very interesting here. And yeah, man, big step up, and I was conflicted as to which way I was going to go on this one. I wanted to go with Dustin, but then when I was looking at everything, and then when I saw the 2 losses that he had, and I don't know, the heart, that Conor McGregor has, again, it made me pause and think, because as Eddie mentioned there, he's got that knee injury that he's coming back from. So I don't know, man. It was a tough one for me to make a call here, but I think I'm going to go with the fighter from Ireland. I'm going to pick Conor McGregor by TKO in 2. Other comments on this one, fellas?
I'm excited to see it.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm excited to see it. See if Conor does actually live up to the hype that the UFC's given him.
Brad?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's kind of giving himself the hype too. I mean, you know, I know it bugs the shit out of some people, all the talking, but hey, man, as long as he's backing it up and he's running his mouth, like I said though, I love that fucking shit. I love somebody that'll keep me interested. Floyd Mayweather is not fucking exciting. He's fucking tedious as fuck to watch box. But the fucking guy found a way to make people want to see him get knocked out so bad that he's the biggest draw in the sport. Closed mouths don't get fed, man. You gotta fucking sing a little, and long as he's keeping us interested, I can't fucking wait to see if he's actually as good as he says he is. I hope he is.
Okay, Jeremiah?
Like you said, I mean, I got to call you out on the heart of Conor. We haven't seen it. We will find out Saturday night if he does have heart. Ed's argument kind of got me wanting to change my damn pick, man. I want to go with the man. I hate picking Conor, man, but for once, I'm going to pick off MMA knowledge and not my fucking heart. And this will be the time when Dustin knocks his fucking ass out in 35 seconds of round one.
Okay, you sure you don't want to change that, man? Because
I'm going to keep it as is, man, but go on record. It's on record. And I want Dustin to win. Can't wait, man.
Okay, Eddie, final word.
Oh man, hey, look, we're gonna. This is the real main event, in my opinion. This is the fight that I'm gonna watch for. I mean, yeah, the Alvarez fight, great. The one that I'm gonna be literally like, I'm gonna grab my beer, all my food, all my shit before the fight starts. It's this one. I'm not missing a split second of this. It's gonna be a great fight. Nope. The people's main event, as Hawani would call it. And it's just gonna be. I mean, like one thing about the whole, you know, we're gonna find out McGregor's for real. I think every fight is gonna be that we're gonna find out if he's for real until he gets to a title shot. Because Dustin's 25 and you know he hasn't. The guys that he's beaten weren't, you know, big dogs. But I don't know. I'm just excited as hell to see it. It's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it unfolds here. You know, is Damon making a mistake, and am I making a mistake here, changing our pick? Because, you know, we were pretty much wanting to go with Poirier as well here, but we'll find out here, man. You know, a lot of the things that I was looking at when I did my research here, you know, the industry insiders were kind of split on things here. You know, some of them were picking McGregor by KO and decision, and some of them were going the other way, picking Poirier by KO in 3. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here, but you know, a lot of the fans, you know, they were pretty much, not overwhelmingly, but, you know, a majority of the fans were favoring McGregor in this one. And the odds on this one, you know, aren't really blowout odds, but McGregor, at the time when I wrote the show up, was -270, and Poirier was +230. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And, yeah, you know, I think a lot of people are excited for this one here. You know, can Conor McGregor, you know, come back and do well after that injury there? Lots of times we see guys come back after, you know, knee injuries and things like that, where they just don't perform quite as well as they need to, and then, you know, maybe they get hurt early on in the fight there, and if that happens, yeah, it'll be all, you know, Dustin's fight. All right, any other comments before I move on to the next one, guys?
No.
I'm going to take that as a no.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. I don't know. I see some people that are excited about this next fight, and I see some people that really don't care about this next fight here. But in any event, we got Tim Kennedy versus Yoel Romero, the number 6 UFC ranked middleweight fighter versus the number 10 UFC ranked middleweight fighter. Coming into this one here, Tim Kennedy is 18 wins, 4 losses, and Yoel Romero is 8 wins and 1 loss. Damon, man, what are your thoughts on this one here? Are you excited for this one here? How do you see it unfolding? And how do you think it finishes, buddy?
You know, Kennedy is one of those guys that likes to use his wrestling a lot, and Yoel Romero is one hell of a wrestler. He's got some amazing striking as well. I definitely think that Romero will be able to negate Kennedy's wrestling, and I think they're actually going to go to a decision, but I think Romero will win.
By decision.
By decision.
Okay. Fred?
Yeah, actually, I think this is a great fucking fight. I'm excited as fuck for this fight. Tim Kennedy has actually looked really good lately. You know, he looked great against Michael Bisping, and he fucking actually out-grappled Roger
Gonna lose
Gracie.
Rich?
I don't think so. Which was amazing, you know what I'm saying? His grappling has actually looked fantastic in his last couple fights. But I actually really like Yoel Romero. I think that dude looks fucking great. He's explosive as shit. And I think that, yeah, I think he can definitely keep Tim Kennedy off of him in the grappling department. And if he can keep it standing, I actually think that he can knock Tim Kennedy out. In the first round, Yoel Romero is super dangerous, man. And he's actually not the most polished striker, but he's got a shitload of power. And so fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Yoel Romero, first round TKO.
Wow, very interesting. Jeremiah. We lose Jeremiah.
Damn. Nice.
Can't hear you, Jeremiah.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm going with Romero. All right, good. All right, I'm picking Romero. Decision. It's going to be, of course, it's going to be a wrestling match, but I could be wrong. Two wrestlers could turn it into a kickboxing match. If that's the case, I most definitely give the advantage to Romero. Kennedy could keep it standing, cage grapple, keep Romero's back against the cage, turn it into a grind fest. I can see him winning, but I got to go with Romero. Decision.
Okay, Eddie?
His wrestling's just
All right, well, yeah. What we do know about Yoel Romero is that he likes to throw punches as hard as he absolutely can. He wants to break your face. He wants to punch you so hard your eyelids pop out. So we could see that happen. But what I think is actually going to happen is that Tim Kennedy's going to just, wrestle him to death. He's just going to, take him down. He's going to, just grind out a decision win for Kennedy. Unless, of course, I'm wrong and Romero gets that one hard shot to the chin and puts him to sleep. But most likely, I think decision for Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm more in agreement with Eddie here because I was thinking along that same lines there. But let me do my quick little breakdown here before I give you my prediction. Odds makers have Yoel Romero as a slight favorite, but fans have Tim Kennedy as a slight favorite. So basically, between the fans here and even the odds makers, this one's basically a toss-up here. Romero is 1 inch taller, but Kennedy has a 1 inch reach advantage, but neither of those things will make a difference here. Romero is 2 years older, has less experience on his professional record, and when looking at all of the indicators and trying to determine the outcome of this matchup, the only stat that's really in Romero's favor is the fact that he has the ability to KO his opponents. And percentage-wise, in comparison to Tim Kennedy's knockouts, he's about 20% better at knocking out his opponents. As long as Tim Kennedy doesn't get blasted early on, as Eddie was alluding to there, I think this fight does, in fact, drag on, like Eddie was saying there. And I think, it may not be as exciting as some of you guys think. If Romero catches, Kennedy early on, yeah, I mean, maybe your predictions will come true here with, Fred here, but I don't know. I did see when I was researching here that, some were thinking, Romero decision, Romero unanimous decision, but I wasn't seeing anything for Romero that was saying he was, in fact, going to get, a KO or TKO, and I know that's, what a lot of people are thinking, but again, I wanted to try, to go with him as well. But, again, when I was looking at the numbers and the things that I do when I look at, the stats, offense versus defense-wise, and comparing those things against each other, as I mentioned a moment ago, the only really stat that stands out for him when you compare those two things against each other, offense and defense, was that, Romero has, the ability to, knock out fighters a little bit more, and that was the only stat that stood in his favor. And again, that number was he has a 20% better chance at knocking out his opponents. But, again, as Eddie said, that's going to have to come early on. Otherwise, I'm agreeing with Eddie here. I'm thinking it's going to actually, drag on definitely into the third round, and I'm actually going to go a little more bold here, and I'm going to say Tim Kennedy by sub and 3. So, comments on what Eddie and I think here, Damon?
I I think you guys are probably overlooking the fact that Yoel Romero was an Olympic silver medalist in freestyle wrestling. You know, he does have wrestling abilities, and that is Kennedy's main game, is his wrestling. And I just think Yoel's Romero is actually going to be able to negate that with his wrestling, and more or less keep it standing, or keep it in a grappling match where they're you know, turning each other on the fence, or you know, whatnot. I think you guys are overlooking Romero's wrestling background.
Okay, well, I wasn't really overlooking it. What I did was I went out and looked at historically, you know, their offense and defense and their wins and losses, and compared them against each other. And like I said, when you do that, there was only one stat that favors Yoel Romero. Fred.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. I could see that. I could definitely see a world where Yoel, you know, throws all the stank out in the first couple rounds, completely gasses, and Kennedy has his way with him in the third. I mean, Kennedy did out-grapple Roger Gracie. That's a big fucking deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, that dude's a fucking top-flight grappler, and he out-grappled him the whole fucking fight. So that does say a lot for Tim Kennedy's grappling. But I agree with Damon. I think that Yoel's on another level. As good as Roger Gracie is, the Olympics is some serious shit. And if you medal in the Olympics, it's because you did something terribly fucking right. And he's just explosive as fuck. If he can get his gas under control a little bit, keep it on the feet, and maybe not throw fucking everything into every punch, I think he can find a nice groove and be a fucking very good fighter. But it'll be a very fucking great test, too, to see if Yoel can kind of transcend and make it to that next level.
Okay, Jeremiah?
This is another fight that I got to go on my MMA knowledge and pick Romero. If I went with heart and who I wanted to actually win, I would go with Kennedy, since he's trained at the same camp my fighter trains at. He is a good grappler, but I think Romero is just on another level in the grappling situation, and he could knock him out, and he's strong as fuck, so I'm excited to see this match. I don't think it's going to be as boring as everybody says, but it's more than likely going to be a grinder.
Okay, Eddie?
I'll make this last point on possibly Kennedy getting knocked out. Last time he got knocked out, it wasn't really a knockout, it was a cut, and it was his very first professional fight at IFC 15 in 2001. So ever since then, the only losses he has are decisions. And so, you know, I think Kennedy's just that, okay, in my opinion, he's the better wrestler than Yoel Romero, and that's going to be the deciding factor, and that's why it's going to go, in my opinion, to decision. Otherwise, I would call Kennedy by submission, but I mean, I'm hoping it may be great to see a swing fest between the two, but I really do think it's going to be a wrestling match, and Kennedy's going to take it.
I'm agreeing with you, Eddie, man. Let's hope that we're right and these guys are wrong here. It would be nice for us. It would be nice for us to have a victory on that one.
I hear that.
Yeah, any more comments, guys, before we move on?
No.
Nope.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one here. And this is the long-awaited return of Cat Zingano. We have Amanda Nunes versus Cat Zingano, the number 8 UFC ranked bantamweight versus the number 1 UFC ranked bantamweight. Coming into this one here, Cat Zingano is 8 wins, no losses. Amanda Nunes is 9 wins and 3 losses. And this should be a great fight there. And let's hope that Cat is actually back to 100% from that knee injury she had. And again, we're seeing a lot of knee injuries in MMA here. And not only are we seeing a lot of knee injuries, we're actually seeing a lot of, you know, injuries during the time that the fighters are also recuperating, which is putting them out for an even longer time. So yeah, let's hope that, you know, that knee injury is actually 100%, because I would love to see her come in, and I think this is going to be a great fight. But you know, I just hope she is 100% here, and you know, I hope she's not, you know, going to be, you know, plagued possibly by, you know, an injury that isn't totally 100% here. But you know, it'll be good to see what happens. She's saying she's 100%, so it'll be good to see, you know, her get the win here, because I really would love to see her get that shot with Ronda Rousey, and I think she truly deserves that after the way that she, you know, pretty much came back in that fight against Miesha Tate, just absolutely demolished her in the 3rd round. So, Damon, your comments on this one, and how do you see it unfolding, and how do you think it's going to finish?
She's been out a long time. the octagon rust is definitely in question. I think Kat probably will be able to adjust quickly, and I think she's still going to be able to get the finish. I'm gonna go with a round 2 TKO.
Very nice. I like that. Fred, how about you?
Okay, well, I'm going to probably be in the minority on this one. Even though Misha Tate did her thing in Japan against Ren Nakai, I tend to think Misha Tate's a bit overrated. I think she's slightly overrated, and I think that Amanda Nunes is a fucking beast. And I think that she is a fucking she's a fun female striker, man. She like reminds me of a female young Vanderlei. Like she's gonna come out fucking guns a blazing, and it might cost her in the long run, but I like the way she fights. I think she's gonna come out aggressive as fuck, and I think that she's gonna storm Kat Zingano in the first round, TKO stoppage, Amanda Nunes.
Wow. Okay, Jeremiah?
I'm actually agreeing with Fred. Oh, guys, I'm in the country. I got a fucking tractor coming up the road, but I'm going to go with Nunes, man. Oh, here he goes.
TKO in one. If you have to mute the mic,
I'm going TKO in 2. TKO in 2. Nunes. Guy knows too much of a slow starter. That was proven in the fight with Misha. And I got to go with Nunes. TKO in 2.
Okay.
Man.
Eddie?
All right, Kat Zingano out since April of last year. That's a long time to be gone. And then, blowing her knee out and everything. So she's coming off a big knee injury. Amanda Nunes, on the other hand, she hasn't fought since November of last year. So both coming off kind of a long layoff. One of them with a really significant injury. We're going to find out. Does Kat Zingano still have the ability to take it to the third round? She's only won one fight by decision. She has 3-4 knockouts. Amanda Nunes hasn't fought anyone, hasn't fought any big names. Kat Zingano is her biggest name to date and highest ranked fighter she's going to take on in the UFC. So, oh man, this is the hardest fight for me to pick. So I went with Amanda Nunes, TKO third round, just because I'm not 100% sure that Zingano can come back from that knee injury and be as good as she was before she got hurt.
Yeah, again, I kind of agree with points that all of you guys are making here, and I had a hard time making a decision on this one too here because love Kat Zingano, and I would like I said earlier, I would love to see her come back and get the win, but I had the same questions that Eddie had here, long layoff and things like that, and then Fred brought up the point about Misha Tate being a bit overrated. I agree with Fred on that as well. But let me run through my quick breakdown here before I give you my prediction here. Odds makers have Kat Zingano as the favorite, and fans are overwhelmingly picking Kat Zingano to win this matchup here. The indicators for determining the outcome of this one are fairly close here, but they slightly favor Amanda Nunes. I would usually favor the younger fighter in this sort of instance here, and that would be Amanda Nunes because she's 6 years younger, and I really, want to go that way. But again, because I'm such a fan of Kat Zingano, I'm going to, ignore the stats and all the numbers and everything that may seem to indicate that Nunes gets the win here. And I'm going to go with my heart on this one. And I'm going to pick, just like Damon did there, Kat Zingano by TKO in 2. This is a heart pick for me, guys. I want to go the other way, but I love Kat Zingano, and I want to see her get the win and, get the fight with Ronda Rousey there. So, comments on this one, Dan, from what we've said so far?
Like I said, it all depends on how she comes back from the injury and the layoff. If she can come back and adjust, I think she's gonna be successful.
Okay, Fred.
Yeah, same thing, man. I think a lot of it comes down to her ring rust. If they had booked this fight 6 or 8 months ago, I might have a bit of a different opinion, but it's just been so long. She's coming off a bad injury, and Nunes is an aggressive fighter. If she was coming back against a tactician that was going to dance around and try to outpoint her, maybe, but Nunes is going to come out like a fucking pit bull, and it's been a long time since she's been in a fight, so I think that might backfire on her.
Okay. Jeremiah?
Me and Fred are on the same fucking page. I mean, the whole show. Zingano's too much of a slow starter. I mean, Nunes is a beast, man. I just don't see Zingano being able to handle her.
Okay, Eddie?
Short and sweet.
Oh man, it's the ring rust. It's the ring rust and the knee is the only issues I had with Zingano. I just I think Fred was saying, Nunes is just a beast and in the most female way possible. You can say that, but she's a really tough lady. She's gonna come at her. She's gonna take her, basically push her to her limit. And basically, Cat Zingano has heart, and we know that. Can she bring that out one more time to pull off a win and get another run to the title?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be sad if she didn't, because then what do you guys think would happen to her if she didn't get the win here? Because right now she's ranked #1. If she doesn't get the win here, I mean, I believe Amanda Nunes in the UFC is ranked at #8. So what happens there if #1 loses to #8? Where do you think she might drop should that happen? Damon?
I don't think she would drop. It depends on how the fight ends and how badly, if she loses, how badly. Coming off an injury like that, I don't think somebody would be dropped very much if they did lose coming off of such a layoff like that.
Okay, so what do you think there? How far?
I would think probably 3, maybe, at the most.
Fred, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, one thing's for sure. If she loses this fight, she ain't getting the fucking title shot. So, that shit's gone for sure. Probably the same. Not a terrible amount. I mean, I think Amanda Nunes jumps up probably. I think Amanda Nunes would jump higher than Cat Zingano will fall with a win. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's because everybody knows that Cat Zingano's coming off an injury. So if she does come out and look a little rusty, a couple spots, they give her another fight, and then maybe she'll take a free fall. But yeah, just probably 3.
Okay, Jeremiah?
I feel the same way, but the big question will be, will Nunes be ranked higher than Zingano after this fight? Well, you got people like Jedi coming up. I mean, I don't see her dropping no more than 3. Coming off of an injury, you couldn't do that.
All right, so you all sound the same so far. Eddie, what do you think on that, man? And since you get the last word on this, in regard to both women there, where do you think their numbers will change if Cat Zingano does lose?
Cat Zingano loses, she drops to 3, maybe 4, and the only reason I say that is because the media members, the ones that have votes for this poll, are the ones that vote for it, and we all know not all of them train. Most of them are kind of full of shit when it comes to any kind of technical or even coming back from injury aspect. I'll give you an example. When Helwani said complains about someone being hurt, I call bullshit because I guarantee he's never spent 1 day on the mat. So. Or even in the gym. That being said, I think Zingano drops to 3 or 4. But look, man, it's Nunes. This is all Nunes right here. She has the most to gain. She wins this, she gets into the top 5 and be higher, and 1 fight for title shot without a doubt. Cat Zingano wins, definite title shot for her next fight, no problem.
Yeah, she's already been promised a title shot if she gets. Yeah. Yeah, so I pretty much agree with all you guys. We all think there that Cat would probably drop down to 3 or 4, and I think, not that you guys actually stated where you think Nunes would move up to, but yeah, I also think she would move up to #5 there. I'll give you guys one more chance there, real briefly here. Just give me a number. Where do you think Nunes moves up to, real quick, if she gets the win here, Damon?
I'd agree with 5.
Okay, Fred.
Yeah. She just barely cracks the top 5.
Okay, Jeremiah.
I'll say 4.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, we're all pretty much in agreement there on that, but I'm going to hope that you guys are wrong and that me and Damon are right.
Not a chance.
Okay. Let's talk about the fight that I think a lot of people are dying to see here. Again, that was the last fight on the main card here, and we did want to cover one more fight that we're doing on our event pool. That fight is the return of Dominick Cruz. It's been nearly 3 years since Dominick Cruz has fought last due to that nagging and reoccurring knee injury there. And with that long of a layoff and the problems that he had with the healing process for that injury, I mean, you really got to question, as to whether or not he'll be the same fighter that he was in the past, prior to this fight here, because we've seen other great fighters have similar problems with the healing of that same type of knee injury, and when they returned to the octagon, they simply weren't the same fighter. And that's pretty much what Eddie was alluding to, in the last fight that we spoke about here. And again, that could be due to the injury itself. It could be the ring rust, it could be the mental aspect of things regarding the injury itself, or it could be a combination of all of those things. But in any event here, we have Dominic Cruz returning to fight Takeya Mizugaki, the number 10 UFC ranked bantamweight fighter, versus the number 5 UFC ranked bantamweight fighter. And coming into this one here, Dominic Cruz is 19 wins, 1 loss, and Takeya Mizugaki is 20 wins, 7 losses, and 2 draws. Damon, man, as briefly as possible here, I want to hear your comments on the matchup. But before you give me your comments on the matchup, first let me hear what your comments are about what I mentioned here in the intro there for this matchup, and address those 3 factors that historically do not really favor a fighter winning a fight after such a long layoff due to a reoccurring injury like that, where they've had problems getting back into the octagon.
Oh man, it's last time Dominic fought is what, 3 years ago, something around there. The main thing with his injury is what will his movement be like? If he still has the same movement, or I think he'll be able to get the ring rust out pretty quick. But if he is not able to move like he usually moves, I don't know what he'll be able to do, because that is his major advantage over other fighters is his ability to move. So
so what you're basically alluding to here is that you're saying that the only factor that might be playing into play here about those 3 factors that I mentioned would actually be the physical aspect. You don't think the mental aspect really has anything to do with it, being that he's been off so long, and he's got to come back and he's got to get this win here, because again, he's ranked number 10, luckily for him, still in the UFC, and he's going up against the number 5 fighter. There are a lot of fighters, and fans are thinking that Mizugaki doesn't really belong in that number 5 spot. So, do you really think that it's more the physical thing? Do you think it's any sort of mental play is going to take effect here, or again, address that one more time?
Mental, maybe a little bit, because he's been out so long. But like I said, Dominic Cruz has always been a smart fighter, and I think he's got a fighter's heart, and I think he will be able to come back and be successful. The thing is will he be able to use the same movement that he was able to before, which I don't. I think a lot of the movement might be taken out, but we have to see. I mean, I don't think he would come back after 3 years if he didn't feel he could compete at a top level.
Well, he was pretty much kind of like, he really had no choice, man, because they stripped him of the title, and they were kind enough to leave it with him in his hands for 2 years while he was injured. So, I mean, he pretty much has to. I mean, if he comes back and he, can't perform like, you might be saying there, if the injury is too much and he really can't move like he used to, then, what does he really do here? I mean, where would he drop from here if he, loses to the number 5 fighter? Do you think he would just, I mean, he's got that warrior spirit, and he was so awesome before, the injury. I think he would still want to hang around for one more fight, but, it would be sad to see him, go out and possibly lose this one here, and maybe, have to retire to, the anchor desk there over at the Fox network. But what was your prediction on this one? Who do you think wins this one?
I am going to go with Cruz still. I think it's going to be a decision. Like I said, even if he loses, I think him being the past champ and having to vacate that title, I think he should be given a title shot. Just because it depends on how the fight plays out, of course. But when a fighter is stripped of their title, I think when it hasn't actually been taken away from them, that they should be given the chance to reclaim what was theirs.
Wow, that's interesting. After 3 years and being ranked number 10 coming back, you think if he gets a decision win here, he deserves a title shot?
Yeah, but his ranking dropped because of him being out. If he comes out and he gets a win and it looks as impressive as his wins before, why not give him back a shot at the title? It was his title.
Okay, all right, Fred. What are your comments on all that I put out there? And I want you to address first, those factors that I mentioned. Do you think that's, any of those are valid points that I was saying here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all of that shit's going to matter to a degree. Here's the reality of the situation. The dude has had 2 or 3 major surgeries on his leg or legs. I don't even know whether it was different legs or whether it was separate knees. I think it was the same one, and then that failed, and they had to redo it again at ACL. So he's had a couple major surgeries. He fucking tore his groin. I mean, he's had all kinds of horrible luck. So obviously, that's to add up a little bit on his body. And not fighting in 3 years, surely mentally, obviously all fighters are going to say they're there and they're extremely confident. But surely he's got to be kind of, second guessing himself to a degree. It's been a long time since he's been out there in the heat of battle. Now, that being said, I think that Joe Silva did a fucking fantastic job with this. Takeya Mizugaki's on a nice little roll, and he's got a little bit of name value going right now, but he's a sitting duck most of the times. I think that if Dominic can come back and look half of what he was before with his foot movement, which is very debatable. That's the whole question here: is he going to come back and look as good as he did before, or even comparable? But if he is, man, I think that Dominic Cruz, this should be his coming back party. This should be his celebrating him coming home, and he should be able to get. I'm even going to say fuck it and say Dominic looks good, gets back in there, and it's a 3rd round TKO stoppage.
Wow. Okay, Jeremiah.
If his movement's there, I think he's going to come back like a fucking ball of fire. I mean, he's stripped of his title. He's dropped almost out of the top 10. All of the negative feedback he's been hearing. He's had plenty of a layoff. All of the excitement in his division right now. I think this is a storybook start to the climax of his career. I see him coming out like a fucking buzzsaw. I got Cruz going on a limb here, KO in 2.
Wow. Okay then, Eddie, you're up.
All right, so 3 years layoff, multiple surgeries to the same leg. Just everything went wrong for this guy for so damn long. That's where the mental aspect comes in. Is he able to overcome that in his own head? The questions of, am I still good enough? Do I still have it? Can I still move the way I used to? Do I have the same power? And has his division passed me by as far as skill level goes? Because he was king when the division was pretty damn young. After him, we've already gone through Barao and now Dillashaw. We have 2 different champions since he's been gone. So it's that, for me, it's that movement. Does he have the same footwork that he's had for a long time? If he could keep it and he can get that mental aspect in check of, okay, you know what, I got hurt, but I'm healed, I'm healthy, I'm good to go. Let's go 100%. If he can do that, 2nd round TKO. But that's a huge question. And the one factor that I point to, the fact that I think he can do it, that he's only 29 years old. We're not talking an almost 40-year-old Anderson Silva here. We're talking a 29-year-old guy whose body is younger, obviously, and has a better ability to heal. So I think he gets his footwork back. I think he has that killer instinct back. And on Damon's point there, I would love to see Dillashaw Cruz. I mean, can you imagine the footwork those 2 guys would bring in? It would be the quickest, fastest, not as far as time limit, but the 2 guys that move the quickest around the octagon. It'd be so sick to see.
Yeah, and you got.
Let me get his prediction here before we start talking about it. What was your prediction, Eddie?
Oh, TKO 2nd round. Sorry. Oh, Cruz.
TKO in 2. Wow. Okay, I'm either going to look like a complete ass or I'm going to look like the genius here because we deviated in a couple of picks here between all of us here. But I think I deviated more than most of you guys there. Most of you guys were pretty much in agreement on the bulk of things here for these fights here. But let me give my breakdown here. Oddsmakers have Cruz as the heavy favorite to win this one, and fans are overwhelmingly picking Cruz to win. And looking at all the historical data and indicators that might help in determining the outcome of this fight, that's extremely understandable. But what I don't understand here is that it appears to me that very few people are actually taking into consideration those factors that I mentioned that may impact the performance of Dominic Cruz, that I mentioned at the intro here and that we discussed as we, gave our, breakdown, for each of our predictions here. Fred agrees with me. I do think those are all, very viable things to consider, and I'm actually putting more credence on that than I, am on, his return and him being able, to overcome, all of those things here. I'm going to go way outside of what most everybody else thinks is going to happen here, and I'm going to be extremely bold here, fellas. I'm going to be picking the massive underdog, and I'm picking Mizugaki by decision. So I'm going to look like a fool or like a genius here, because I'm either going to whip your guys' asses in this one, or you guys are going to whip mine. So,
Oh man.
Any other comments on this one here?
It all depends on how Dominic Cruz looks like when he comes back. If he still looks like he did before, well, not completely, but if he still has that movement, I see him still being successful. TJ Dillashaw used that kind of movement against Brown, was successful. He was mimicking what he's seen with Dominic Cruz, and I believe that if Cruz can come back and has the movement, I think he's going to be back actually holding the title again.
Yeah, I would love to, like you and Eddie both mentioned there, I would love to see the Dillashaw, Cruz matchup. But one quick question, I just want a yes or no answer on this, guys, as we go through, really quickly on this. Do you guys agree with Damon? Do you think, being that he's coming back and being ranked number 10 on his return, and if he doesn't really win all that impressively and wins by decision here, do you guys think that he actually does deserve a shot at the title right away after, a decision win? Fred?
Absolutely. I mean, a W's a W. I don't give a fuck how he gets it. If he wins, he gets the title shot, Jack. Period.
Okay. Jeremiah?
Most definitely. He's got a lot to prove. He's got to make a statement. Being the belt is in the camp of his arch enemy, he'll have to get a shot if he wins.
Okay, so I'm saying here, if he doesn't win impressively, I'm saying if he wins a decision, you guys obviously are big fans of his, so maybe your opinion's jaded here, but I'm saying, ranked number 10. Look at what the question I'm posing. Ranked number 10, coming back fighting a number 5 guy, and he gets a decision win over that number 5 guy, who a lot of people don't think actually belongs in that number 5 position. You guys actually think that he does deserve the title shot. So,
well, I mean, that's what I was saying. He'll have to make a statement. I don't see a decision won't get him a title shot. He's gonna have to come out, knock that motherfucker out, and make a statement, and he'll get a title shot.
Okay, that I can agree with. Not ranked number 10 and winning a decision up against the number 5 guy who most people think does not belong there.
Yeah, but you also have to remember, he's ranked number 10 because he's been out so long. Not because he's lost fights or anything like that. It's
right,
because he's been
but
out.
Pretty much 3 years without a fight, you're unproven at this point,
Yeah,
we don't know how he's going to
wins. It'll be
he was the champ. That's the thing.
Right, but 3 years is almost a lifetime of MMA to be without a fight.
Yeah, but the thing is if we, this is more of a tune-up fight for him to come back into the UFC before he does get a crack at the title. I think the UFC possibly, even with a loss, will give him a chance to reclaim his title.
Now,
depending on how the fight goes.
Wow.
I'm
shocked, David. I am fucking shocked.
Wins,
no, I don't think he'll get a title shot with a loss. I think a loss fucks him. I think a loss fucks him. But if he gets a win, regarding the title shot, they almost could have gave him the title shot without a fucking fight if he wanted it. I mean, I don't give a fuck how long he's been gone. He was the champ. He got injured. Nobody has took his belt yet, you know?
All right, Jeremiah, you were saying what?
I'm going to take it all back. If he wins, I see him putting the Barao fight together. That would draw huge numbers. Everybody wanted to see that fight a long time ago anyway. That's the fight.
Barao ain't the champ anymore.
It'll be a #1 contender. I don't think he'll get to immediately meet a title shot.
Okay. And Eddie,
I'm taking it back.
Yeah, if he wins decision, definitely not a title shot right away. Had the same idea as Jeremiah too. Put him with Barao. 2 former title holders. Barao didn't get the fight because he couldn't make weight. Let's say he makes weight, fights Cruz. 2 former champions. Go for that title shot. See which one of you can take on TJ. Exactly. But unless it's like a super impressive knockout, psycho Super Saiyan win by Dominic Cruz, he won't get a title shot. I don't believe it. I don't think so. Right. But definitely Barao would be sick to see.
Yeah, I agree with both you and Jeremiah on that. And it seems like the 3 of us are more in a agreement than the other 2 guys here. But the other 2 guys, I'm going to say they're more than likely huge Dominic Cruz fans, and they don't give a fuck what happens. They want to see Cruz get the shot.
No, it's more of a he was the champ, and he only lost the title because of the injury, and the fact that he was the champ, and he's coming in and he's doing a tune-up fight to see how he's going. He really needs to have that title taken from him, and a tune-up fight is after 3 years of tune-up fight, it really I don't see that, even if he loses, unless he loses basically like gets mauled by Mizugaki. I don't see that as a bad thing. I think they gave him Mizugaki just because of the fact that they want to give him a tune-up fight and they want to get him back into a place to fight for his title again.
Here's something that played into my making the pick that I made here, guys. It wasn't that they gave him the Mizugaki fight. He actually, in his mind, came out and said, I'm not ready to go for a title shot coming back.
Yep.
I want to take 1 or 2 fights before I get a title shot. So that kind of told me that he really wasn't totally there 100% mindset-wise, and maybe even physically, that he thought he could come back and go and get a title shot. If he was saying up front before he came back that he wanted 1 or 2 fights before getting a title shot. So that was, one of the factors that led me to make the decision that I made and make that prediction I made. So I don't know if you guys were aware of that news, but that is in fact what transpired. It's not that the UFC said, hey, let's give him a give-me fight here,
Yeah, at the end of the day, timing is everything, and that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, TJ's got to defend the belt against somebody. If Rafael Sunsal's not ready to go, or he gets hurt, or anything like that, and Dominic Cruz gets a win, you're fucking kidding yourself. If you think that they're not going to do Dominic Cruz, TJ Dillashaw like that. Belt's got to
address those points that I just raised. Were you guys aware of that? And
I think he didn't want to come back for a title shot. After being off so long, he wanted a tune-up fight just before he's actually stripped of the championship status. I
don't think he was holding off coming back because he didn't think that he was ready. If he come back, got an immediate title shot and lost, he's out of the picture for a while. I think he's confident enough to know he's going to win this tune-up fight, and then it's on after that. I think he's confident enough to know when he's coming back that he's ready to go. I don't think that's why he didn't want a title shot.
Eddie, on those points that I raised, address that in the comments that the other guys are making.
All right, so I did know that he didn't that he basically requested a couple fights to get himself ready. I think he I mean come on, let's say you bust your knee, you want to go back to the gym and play basketball. You're going to be asking yourself, can I still move the way I used to move? Hell, when I when I was training MMA, I jacked my foot up real bad on someone's elbow because the guy's an asshole, and I wasn't moving the same. So right away I was just like, I'm not the same. I started questioning things that I could do or couldn't do, and I'm just a regular Joe. I mean, imagine you're a professional athlete who used to be a champion, or and his own mind's still a champion, and you're coming back from from knee injury. It's pretty crazy, but no, definitely not. I know he wants the title shot eventually, but I think he has to prove to himself that he can still hang in there, even if it's a lower level guy.
Okay. Go ahead, get the last word here, buddy. Red?
Oh shit! I'm sorry, I'm out of here.
Rose.
Yeah, at the end of the day, nobody really fucking knows. Unless you're in Dominic Cruz's camp, nobody knows what he's going to look like or exactly how adjusted he is to this injury. So, it's hard to say. Like I said, I think if he gets a W at all, it comes down to timing and who's ready for the shot. They could very well give it to him. Or like you guys say, if they decide to do TJ and Rafael Sunsao, which, that's the one dude that's got to win over TJ, so that's not a given he wins that fight. If they do that and Dominic wins, I say they do Renan Barral and Dominic in the meantime for sure. So that makes a lot of sense depending on time-wise what happens.
Yeah, I think TJ does in fact want that fight. I think he made that known, so that's more than likely. And then I agree with Eddie and Jeremiah there that the other fight will also happen, and then the winner of those two fights is who we'll see fight next. Guys, that was a great fucking conversation, and I know we went a little longer than we normally do talking about things, but this is a great main card, and again, we had to speak about the return of Dominic Cruz, so I really enjoyed that conversation, guys. That was really good. I wish we had enough time to talk about all of the fights on the card because it's a great event. But really briefly here, are there any of those other fights remaining here? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because we've already, much longer than we wanted to go here. But are there any of the other fights on the undercard you want to talk about real briefly? Let's do a consensus running through real quick. Don't give me discussion. Let's mention a fight, and then if we agree on it, we'll talk about that fight.
Wonder Boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jorge Masvidal.
It's actually not a fight that I want to throw out there. Justin, my fighter, couldn't make the show. He's at the gym. He's picking Mighty Mouse, Cerrone, McGregor, Tim Kennedy, Mizugaki, and Nunes.
Okay. All right, so go ahead, guys. What was that fight you wanted to talk about?
Wonder Boy, Stephen Thompson.
All right, go ahead.
Dude is a young Lyoto Machida. I mean, the guy has got some awesome karate. He looks crazy when you watch him fight. I mean, he does keep his hands low a lot of times, but he uses the legs and his movement to keep people at bay. And he's gonna really impress people. I mean, it is Patrick Cote, but Stephen Thompson is making his way up, and he's got to go through people to do it. And I think he's definitely going to. He's an exciting fighter to watch.
Spinning back kick to the body. Calling it.
It's very possible.
I like that.
Hey guys, I gotta go, man. I gotta get my son home. Did we lose Rich?
Oh, he's back.
Oh yeah, he's back. He just got back. All right. I'll wait. We're about to close it up anyway, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Fred. Did you get your word in there?
Yeah, no, it's a good fight, man. I think if we could, suggest any other fight for everybody to try to tune into, that's the fight, man. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Patrick Cote, I can almost guarantee they're going to both stand up and strike with each other. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson always pulls off some cool shit, slick kicks, so it'll be a fun fight. For the record, I think the Wonderboy is going to get a TKO finish in the second or third. Second. There you go.
Okay, Jeremiah, quickly.
Second round, TKO stoppage. Spinning back kick to the body.
Eddie.
Oh man, I got the 34-year-old Wonder Boy by TKO. Same thing as Jeremiah, spinning kick.
Well, you guys are on the same page today, pretty much, huh?
Whoa, he's 30-fucking-4?
Yeah, dude. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Hold up. I'm looking
31.
at Coach. 31. My bad.
Either way, I thought he was like 26 or 27, man. He looks fucking.
No. Yeah. But I thought he was 34. My bad. Patrick Cote's 34. Thompson's 31.
Okay, and to be fair to Eddie here, he wanted to speak about the James Krause versus Jorge Masvidal fight. So start that one out, Eddie.
Oh yeah, that's a good fight.
I mean, honestly, I just want to see how Masvidal is going to come out after he got pulled off that Bobby Green fight. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think so.
So he was pissed about that. So James Krause is not a punk. That guy can fight. So I'm just a big Masvidal fan. I want to see him win, and that's basically the only reason I even mentioned it. But I want to see how he comes out after being, in my opinion, kind of dissed by being taken off that Bobby Green fight, and then Bobby Green not fighting Cerrone, and then Masvidal getting left out to dry until they finally gave him the Krause fight.
Pitbull.
Okay, next. Fred?
Yeah, I think that's also more than anything. I guess I'm wondering how good James Krause really is. Like this will be his last fight with Jamie Varner, where he broke his ankle. It was an unfortunate kind of weird thing. Krause looked good in that fight, but this will be a really good litmus. I don't know what the fuck to think about Krause. I don't know whether he's really talented or not so good. So Jorge Masvidal's a fucking dog. So this will be a good test to see whether he's legit or not.
Okay, Jeremiah, quickly.
Yeah, I'm going with Masvidal on this one. He's just too much. He's a beast.
Okay, Damon, final word.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Masvidal by decision.
Okay. All right, guys. Again, that was a great show there. No final thoughts segment here since we went so long on everything, but it was a great show. Great conversations, a lot of insight. We didn't agree on everything, but pretty interesting. I love when we don't agree because we get all those different opinions on how we think things are going to go here, and it'll be interesting to see here how these fighters are coming back with those knee injuries, how they're going to perform, because there's more than one fighter here that's coming back after a layoff with a knee injury. So it'll be interesting here to see how this unfolds. All right, guys. Anything else you want to say?
Fight of the night, Alvarez, Cowboy. Performance of the night.
I didn't make picks for that.
I'll agree with
I'm just calling it. But I gotta go. I gotta go, fellas.
All right, fellas. We'll see you all later, man. Appreciate you all showing up, and we'll do a post-event show on Sunday.
Cool.
Cool.
Have a
Sounds
good
good. Later, guys.
See you guys.
Take it easy.
All righty. Bye-bye.